Hi, my name's Professor Steve Wilkinson and I'm Head of Chemical Engineering at the University of Chester. I wanted to say thank you very much for coming on our Meet the Department Day, and I've just recorded this video going through a few more slides to give you a little bit more information. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen and show you the slides. It's just about a 5-minute, or maybe actually 10-minute presentation. Okay. So here we go. Okay, so chemical engineering at Chester. We want you to come and study here. You're our customers. And in the Meet the Department Day, we kind of went through a sample problem to give you a flavour of what it's like to be a chemical engineer. Now I want to fill in some of the gaps and give you a bit more details as to what chemical engineering is like here at Chester. Okay. And there's a picture here. I always put this first, which shows one of our graduation days, where we see staff and students in chemical engineering graduating, going off into the world and getting really good jobs and doing some really important stuff in industry. And we're always very proud at this time, and also very proud of what our students are achieving. Okay, so this will be you in 3 to 4 years. Okay, so staff. These are the staff. Some of the staff that will be teaching you. There are others. We actually have quite an interdisciplinary style of teaching. So not all these people are chemical engineers, and there are other people, say from mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, who also teach on the chemical engineering program. We've all got PhDs and we all have teaching qualifications. The teaching is very important to us at Chester, helping you understand the principles to be good chemical engineers. The good news is there's not that many principles to learn. The bad news is that you need to practice a lot learning them, understanding how you can apply these principles of chemical engineering to a huge range of problems. And that's a very exciting part of the topic. So, questions that might occur. What's a typical student day? What makes chemical engineering special at Chester? What subjects will I study and who will teach me? How will they teach me? What additional study costs might there be? Where will I live? Am I likely to get a job at the end of all this? And what is chemical engineering anyway? I'm not going to answer all those questions. Typical student day, I'll try and show you a timetable. It's about 4 or 5 hours learning, intense learning per day. And we tend to only teach, well, we not teach on Wednesdays because that's the sports day, although we might teach Wednesday morning. What makes us special at Chester, the second point there? Well, hopefully that'll become clear as I go through these slides, but I could sum it up with 2 things really. We're small and friendly. We only have about 30 students in each year, and we're very strong on work experience. Okay, so as well as the theoretically rigorous course that we've got, which has been accredited by the IQME, we also are very strong on getting you out to do little chunks of work experience, which are very, very helpful for our graduates to find good jobs. Subjects that you study. Well, I can tell you, you're going to be doing more maths, more chemistry, a bit of biotechnology, fluid mechanics, thermodynamics, separation processes in the first couple of years, and then some more advanced stuff in the 3rd and 4th year. We will teach you a little bit like at school using lectures, but also we'll try and get you more interactive, more involved in your studying. Okay, so we don't think of you as passive containers that we fill up with knowledge. We think of you as active agents, and so we encourage you to do tutorial sessions where we'll help you solve real problems. We'll also teach a lot with practical experimental labs, either using big bits of kit, chemical engineering kit, or smaller bits of chemistry kit, biotechnology. We also have IT labs, so computing is a very important part of modern engineering, and if you graduate, we want you to graduate being very comfortable with process simulation tools, for example, and that will mean that you're again very employable. There are no additional study costs. The fees are enough that we charge you, and typically students are going to live in Chester. Okay, Chester's a very nice place to live. Some of our students live at home if they live nearby, but yeah, I'd strongly encourage you to visit Chester before you make a decision whether to come here. Am I likely to get a job at the end of all this? Yes, you are. So we're really, like I say, proud of the jobs that our students get. Starting salaries range from £30,000 up to £40,000. And this is a really good sign. It's not about being greedy for the money, but the starting salaries are a really good sign that your degree, A, it's challenging, so you have to be dedicated to get it, but B, it's very highly valued, okay? And that's reflected in the salaries. Okay, course structure. This is the same for any chemical engineering course, in principle. So you can choose to do either a 3-year BEng degree or a 4-year MEng degree. Okay, and the decision that you make can be delayed until the start of year 3. So in October every year, at the start of the third year, our students decide whether to be on the BEng or the MEng degree. Now, when you come in, you will be nominally a BEng or an MEng student. Okay, but you can delay the choice of which degree to do, whether to be here for 3 or 4 years, until the start of your third year. And that's because the first 2 years are the same for both those disciplines. Okay, so why would you want to spend an extra year and an extra £9,000 on fees to get a BEng 4-year degree? Well, simply put, it's because that's what employers want. So many of the nationally advertised jobs in chemical engineering specify a 2-1 degree in chemical engineering. So 2-1 is an upper second class degree. The degrees go first, upper second class, lower second class, third, or fail. You don't want to be getting a third or failing. But upper second class MEng is the most common requirement for a nationally advertised chemical engineering job. And the reason employers say they want that is because that 4th year of teaching, you'll do a big research project and you'll be answering an industrially posed question that we don't know the answer to. So that means you've got to be quite mature and work independently, and that's like real life. Okay, so the 4th year is most like real life, and so that's why employers like it. And we also have some specialist industry topics there. So food, pharmaceuticals, nuclear and environment, you see there. They are sectors that employ lots of chemical engineers. But certainly we have many successful students that graduate after 3 years with a BEng degree and go off and get good jobs. Okay, so not all jobs by any means require an MEng. And some students graduate after 3 years and then go and do a 1-year MSc at another university. So we've had students going to Leeds, to Imperial College, overseas to Delft. And so that's another option. That's another reason to graduate after 3 years. Okay. I've not mentioned the foundation year, but we have a really good foundation year course for people who need a little bit more prep before they come into the first year proper. So that's that light blue block at the bottom there. I'll highlight that with my cursor. And so if we think that you need this, if your A-level grades aren't what we would need them to be, then you come into the foundation year and you do maths, physics, chemistry, you get some university skills and you do an individual project. And that's a really good preparation. And we find that students that come through the foundation year do really well when they come into the chemical engineering degree proper. Okay, so we strongly advise that. And it may be that we make you an offer for that foundation year. Okay, what's good about Chester ChemEng? Well, we're in our 7th year. We've got 110 students across years 1 to 4, so we're not massively big, which we like. As I said before, we're strong on workplace and employability. Okay, so in the first year, we try and help you get a placement in the summer, and in the second year, you actually have to do a placement because it's part of your 2nd year assessment. So hopefully you'll have 1 or maybe 2 chunks of work experience on your CV, and that will then help you go out into industry, maybe get a 1-year placement before you graduate, or get a choice of several good graduate jobs. And that's our aim by the time you come up to finishing the course. We do a lot of interdisciplinary learning, and actually talking about that professional skills module, that is where we'll teach you to work with other engineering disciplines and science disciplines, and also we'll get your CV into shape. So there's a CV workshop there. I've read your personal statements, which are very good, by the way. Your personal statement is like the start of your CV, and that's what you can use to apply to these placements while you're studying. And we're accredited by the ICME, both our BEng and MEng courses, and that's very important to us. So between 4 to 7 years after you graduate, you should think about becoming chartered chemical engineers. It means you get paid more money, and it's kind of like the gold standard of professional chemical engineering. And so this course is accredited by the ICME. It's a really good start on the road to chartership. And actually, one thing I should say is when you join, if you come to Chester Chemical Engineering, we'll sign you up to be student members of the ICME, so we'll pay for that. It's not a lot of money anyway, but we get you involved in the community of chemical engineering as soon as you arrive. Okay, we've got a timetable here. This is the timetable that this is a sample week from what we've been teaching this year. And this year has been very different. So the academic year that we're in, and it's been very different for you guys at school. So what we've done is we've had some kind of anytime learning where we kind of set homework or have recorded lectures, those blue blocks. And then the red blocks are actual online sessions. So again, in fact, in this week, there are no face-to-face sessions. Okay. Quite often there are weeks where we have practical sessions that have been face-to-face, where we've been allowed by the rules. But you can see here, most of these sessions are online. Now, in normal times, we're hoping next year, these will be real face-to-face sessions. Okay. So, for example, if I just pick out a session there, we've got SE 4023. Unfortunately, we have codes on the timetable. But 10 till 12 o'clock on a Monday morning, you'll be doing SE 4023, which is thermodynamics. So you'll be doing 2 hours of thermodynamics. Okay. Then there's a gap. So for the online learning, that's fine. You could be at home. The students are at home, probably doing tutorial sheets or other work. There's plenty of work to do in the gaps, by the way. And then at 4:30 to 5:30, there's a module called SE 4001. Sorry, yeah, 4011, which is materials processing. And that's kind of all the bits that chemical engineers need to know that other disciplines don't need to know. Okay. And so there are other topics here in the timetable. SE 4025, that's fluid mechanics. So that's what you'll be doing 9 till 11 on Tuesday. SE 4003, mathematics for scientists and engineers. And more thermodynamics. A lot of thermodynamics this week. In fact, this is just a week I chose at random. More thermodynamics between 1 and 4, and that's a practical session, but it's an online practical session, so it's probably using simulation software. And at the end of the week, 4 till 5, we've got SE 4008, which is biotechnology and applied biochemistry. Quick discussion about biotechnology. If you didn't do A-level biology, that's not a problem. If you didn't like A-level biology, that's not a problem either. Biotechnology takes the principles of biology, but then it uses them to solve chemical engineering problems. And one thing I like to tell people is that 3/4 of drugs in phase 3 development are not made in test tubes by chemistry. They're made in cell culture by biotechnology. Okay, so it's a very important field, and we know how important that is with COVID. Yeah, the COVID vaccines are made not in test tubes, but by biological systems. Okay, so that's a typical week. It'll change a bit next year. I want to focus on employability a little bit here. Well, that's our focus as a university, as a faculty, and as a department of chemical engineering. We are very strong on this. So we like to think about something called the work experience ladder. And we start at the bottom of the ladder. So down here, year 1, we have some summer placements that we try and encourage people to do. Again, that's a competitive process, so you've got to have your CV into shape. So we have a CV workshop and training seminars, how to find a placement and how to do well in a placement. In year 2, we have our integrated work-based learning. That's not optional, that's compulsory, that's part of your teaching. But some students go and do, as well as that shorter placement, which is just 5 weeks towards the end of the second year, they then go off to do a year in industry. And that's the same for students in year 3. They can go off and do a year in industry. Now, we don't give you a project on a plate. Again, you've got to apply competitively to companies that are offering these placements. But our students do very well at getting those placements. And a 1-year placement in industry will set you up for getting a really good graduate job. I always say that our students, when they come back after a placement, they're 2 inches taller. figuratively speaking. They just know much more stuff, and sometimes they're teaching me about things that they've been doing in their year in industry. Very, very exciting. And year 4, well, year 4, everything's focused on industry in year 3 and year 4, particularly year 4. The big research project that you do that I spoke about, where you have to answer a question we don't know the answer to, that is always a project that's been motivated by industry. And industry, certain companies will have certain problems, and you'll provide them with your final report. You'll have 3 days a week to work on this project throughout the 4th year, and that's a really important part of the 4th year that makes you much more mature and independent as an employee. Okay, so the work experience ladder is important to us. Careers, well, you've decided to do chemical engineering. That's good for your career. Those are the kind of typical salaries. And the sectors that people work in: oil and gas, pharmaceuticals, energy, water, wastewater, environment, consumer goods and food. And I put in there companies, all these companies are within, probably 15 miles of where we teach you in Chester. There's some pictures there of couple of our students, Connor at the top there, and Dion in the middle here. Now, I put these students here because they weren't they wouldn't mind me saying, they weren't the most academic students, but they really benefited from the industrial placements that we gave them and the support that we gave them. And they are now both in fantastic graduate level jobs. And so the story we like to tell is that these students, in a way, they were kind of saved by these placements that really gave them a good work ethic and encouraged them to battle through, get their degree and get out into industry. And these guys now, as I said, they might not have been the most academic in terms of results, but they're fantastic engineers in industry doing all sorts of things that I wouldn't be able to do. So I'm really proud of those guys. Just to recap, what makes us a bit different, we do have we have a good staff to student ratio, so we'll get to know you all by name, and we've got good facilities as well. You'll spend a bit more time in the lab than an average chemical engineering student, because we like to give you that practical experience. We want you to feel comfortable in the laboratory and also working with bigger bits of kit, such as our teaching rig. Okay, so final slide. We will support you and help you for all your time at university. We've got an open door policy. Everyone gets a personal academic tutor. We have regular meetings. And if there's any issues that you might have, and we have plenty, everyone has issues if they're away from home or studying at home. It could be money, housing, health. Then we've got the personal academic tutor is the first point of contact. But we also have a very good student wellbeing team who are very good for helping you and just another person to talk to, and that's really important. They are very good. Okay, so it's not just academic help. We're here for placements, jobs, CV checking, and practice presentations. I'm always interested if students got a presentation to do to apply for a placement or a job. I'll insist that they do a practice session with me, because the second time they give it is always much better than the first time. So give the first time with me, and then the second time is much better. And finally, we want you to succeed. Okay. Finally, Chester is a very nice place to study, and I'd advise you definitely to come and visit it if you've not done so already. Finally, sorry, I forgot about this slide. This is important. These are the typical offers. So if you're coming in for B-Eng, you would expect to get BBC in your A-levels or equivalent. For the M-Eng, we have a slightly higher level there, not much higher, but BBB. Now, having said that, it's certainly a buyer's market this year. So if you drop a couple of grades, I would pick up the phone to whatever your first choice university is, and you've got a very good chance of going there, I would say. And certainly, if we're your first choice, or you want to come to Chester, we'd be very happy to talk to you. And I think, yeah, we would take people with a couple of grades lower than that this year, just because of the, as I say, there's fewer students going to university next year. or this coming academic year. Okay, that is all I've got to say on that presentation. Let me stop sharing my screen for a minute, and actually I'm going to carry on sharing my screen because I'm going to tell you a little bit about something that is brand new, which is our A-level revision sessions, if you can see that. So we offer A-level revision sessions for maths, physics, chemistry, biology for year 13 students who've applied to the University of Chester to study chemical engineering. Now we've had some A-level revision sessions for year 12. You may have attended those, not sure, but we're offering more targeted revision sessions for you guys that have applied to do chemical engineering here. We'll have presentations for the key principles, interactive tutorial sessions where we have a go at a problem and go through the model answer, a few inside tips on what makes a good answer, and also exam technique and revision advice. And what the key point I'd like to make here is it is not too late to boost your grade in the teacher assessments that are coming up soon. And so I'd strongly advise you to send me an email to say that you're interested in these sessions. And we've not decided on the exact dates and times yet, but there'll be some time quite soon. So certainly in the middle towards late April, okay, because obviously your assessments are coming up soon. But it's not too late to boost your grades, I don't think, by engaging in these sessions. We don't want to go against what the teachers are saying. We just maybe want to give you a different outlook. Okay. So I will stop sharing my screen now. And I'd just like to say thank you for listening. Sorry it's a bit longer than I originally thought. I think it was more than 10 minutes. But any questions, drop me an email. And I really do wish you the best of luck in the assessments that you've got to do. And we all, my staff and I, all very much look forward to seeing you next academic year in September. Thank you.